In the October international break, we saw CONCACAF sides edge closer, or in some cases further away, from promotion, relegation, Gold Cup qualification. European sides played out crucial matches in Euro 2024 qualifiers. The MSG Cup in the Oceania region was won by the Solomon Islands, and Asia's lowest ranked sides went head to head in round one of AFC qualification for the 2026 World Cup. There has been so much football. Ryan, have you enjoyed this international break? How are you, my friend?
I am good, my friend. I'm good. I mean, how could I have not enjoyed it? That intro, you've just rattled off so much good stuff. I've loved every single second. It feels like maybe apart from Africa, we've had a real flavour of just from our side and the football we love, those minnow nations. But it feels like we've had good football. Oh god, what a simple statement this is, by the way. Good football. We've had good football from across the world. You know what I mean, though, mate. I've loved it, and I feel like today, we're recording this at in the afternoon of the 17th of October. So we've just had the climax, and I'm going to call it the climax of the first round of AFC World Cup qualification. And look, there's a few games left to play into this evening. I think England have got a game tonight into the early hours of this morning. But it's essentially now it's the end of the October international break, isn't it? And
I think so.
from our way, from our side, like what a way to finish it with everything that happened today, mate. I've loved it. I've absolutely loved it. You and I, we even had a you were over last night. We watched BVITCA, and then today we've been treated to the lineup of second legs, mate. Absolutely loved it. Where do you want to start with this one, mate? As you said, there's so much to talk through. How do you want to structure this? We've got Nations League stuff. We can even start looking ahead to what's coming up in November, because we've got a bucket load of stuff to come there as well. Where are we starting, mate? You lead, I'll follow.
Let's start with hitting that subscribe button, because as Ryan says so rightly, there's so much coming up. We look at it, and this is a little bit of just waffly nonsense that you don't really need to know about, but Ryan and I beat ourselves up when we're not posting regularly, and we want to do better for you, for us, for everyone. But then when we hit this stride of September, October, November, sometimes into December as well with Asian tournaments, and then looking ahead to what's coming up in January next year as well, it makes our lives so easy finding the motivation and will to do these videos, because, it's just perfect. And hit that subscribe button.
That's by the way the smoothest of segues into plugging the sub. But I think for us, as we've said in the past, we are passionate about it. So when the games are coming as thick and fast as they are, it's so easy for you and I just to hop on to chat about it, because we've been engrossed in it basically every month that there's been a break. We're digressing a little bit to start off with here. But I love seeing people hate on the international window, and I feel that here in England in particular, we have a really
toxic.
No. I'm going to use the word snobby, mate. I'm going to use the word snobby set of football fans, and this is a massively sweeping statement. So take it with a pinch of salt, of course. Take it in the way that it's meant here, in the sense that we have this sort of sense of entitlement, in the sense of we've got the Premier League, so we've been gifted the best club league in the world, probably. And then from an international standpoint, we have this arrogance that England are almost too good for the qualifiers. Like, it's a waste of time, this international break. We're going to qualify anyway, blah, blah, blah. So then, like, the hate that it gets from, I guess, your everyday
Premier
football
League fan.
Everyday Premier. And I almost thoroughly enjoy watching it, because these people, they don't know what they're missing out on. They don't know what they're missing out on. Like some of the stuff today, like, we're going to come onto it, of course, and you've already done a video, and we've already pumped out a viral tweet. Amazing. But Pakistan winning their first ever World Cup qualification match, and then getting through to the second round, and the scenes at the final whistle in Islamabad. Like, if you're not into this, mate, you are missing out. How
Yeah,
can you
yeah.
not enjoy this stuff? Anyway, sorry, digressed massively there and went off at a tangent. But let's go, mate. Let's dive in.
Let's do it. We're gonna, if we do a backwards agenda, we're gonna finish up with what's coming up in November and double double down on that. Please hit subscribe thing. But we'll get back to that. In the sort of middle section, we'll spend a good amount of time talking about round one of the Asian qualifiers. But I just want to touch first on stuff that's happened the other part of the globe. What we were looking at last night, because of the time difference, into the early hours before the Asian Games started. And like we say, we're recording it before all of these games in this window are fully finalised. But we've sort of got out of this international break what we really need. Let's talk about CONCACAF. Let's talk about the CONCACAF Nations League.
Let's do it.
There's a few things that I want to talk about here. Going to start with Guyana.
Yeah.
Guyana losing to Puerto Rico. They come back. They win the game convincingly. Amari Glasgow involved again, a real talent for them. They're now 3 points clear at the top of Group D in Nations League B. November, they play their final 2 matches. Puerto Rico again and the Bahamas.
Yeah.
That is a real chance for Guyana to get to League A.
Yeah, I mean,
Nations League A,
which is amazing, absolutely incredible. Avoid defeat against Puerto Rico at home, which I think that they can do if they turn up with that same attitude that they did in the game in this break, and then you'd fully expect them to get the result against Bahamas. But Guyana in League A in CONCACAF Nations League would be an incredible campaign for them to end up with promotion.
And I don't want to take anything away from that achievement because it is sensational. The only thing that I will say is looking at that Guyana team that they've got now, Sam Cox obviously involved in the management now, former captain, last time they were at the Gold Cup, actually. And they were in a group with Puerto Rico, Bahamas, as you know, 2 of the teams. They got a good draw. Last time out, they were in a group with Haiti, and in a group of 4 where one team gets promoted, Haiti, Montserrat, Bermuda, Guyana. That's a horrible group. Yeah. That's a horrible group. And Haiti won it, and they're great. Obviously, no one ended up getting relegated because of the shift in format. But they've been given a chance with a slightly more favourable group to get to Nations League A, and they are really taking it by the scruff of the neck. And I think the scenes, the passion, when they came from behind to beat Puerto Rico, absolutely sensational. So I just wanted to shout out that performance from Guyana. And to be fair, credit to Puerto Rico, promoted last time out, and they're highly unlikely to get relegated. So they've done really well.
How does it work with, just on that, mate, how does it work with Nations League and Gold Cup qualifiers? If you top a League B group, do you get into you're in? Yeah, wow.
You're straight in. Well, that's certainly what it used to be. And I know there's some tweaks and changes going forward because it needs to link up to the Copa America, and not all of the details have come out around the Gold Cup 2025 edition yet and how it all feeds in. But historically speaking, if you win Group B, if you come first or second, maybe even third in League A, and you win Group B, you're in automatically. And then it's runners-up of Group B and League B and winners of League C go into the qualification.
The only thing with that is typically they flesh that out really nicely on like the Wikipedia page, and they haven't done that this time. I'd be interested in exploring that and really,
I don't know what's happening
because it touches about here. The winner will advance to the Nations League finals and qualify for the 2024 Copa America, while the losers will advance to the Copa America qualifying playoffs, which is talking about the quarterfinals and when the Nations League itself goes into the knockout stage. But it doesn't say anything about Gold Cup. So if you're watching this and you got to this and you've made it this far, thank you. If you know any details on Gold Cup qualification via CNL, drop it down.
Yeah. No, I equally couldn't find anything. And like you say, it's a bit all over the place because Copa America is referring only to Nations League A.
Yeah.
And the teams that come top in that. Trinidad and Tobago doing well, by the way. But yeah, it doesn't affect B or C. Yeah, Trinidad doing really well. We don't really touch on League A because it's a bit sort of too good.
Can we just quickly, if we are quickly touching on it, the format is awful, by the way, with League A, because you've got 6 teams in the group and you get randomly drawn the 4 matches that you're going to play. So Haiti are now getting relegated from League A despite playing Jamaica. They've played Jamaica, Cuba, Jamaica twice, and Suriname. So they've drawn 3 and lost 1 of their 4 games. But because they've played Jamaica twice of those 4, like they're getting relegated. It's just it feels like an absurd way.
I don't like the format.
No.
I don't like the rejig, and I also feel like it's a bit top heavy with the 2 groups of 6. I'd prefer there to be more teams in League C, as we've spoken about before. Because they only get to play 4 games.
Yeah,
which I think is a bit
strange.
Anyway, let's also talk about another side in Nations League B in a different group, St. Lucia. An interesting month for them.
Yeah.
They went 1-1 with Guadeloupe, 2-1 win, 2-0 loss in the space of literally a couple of days.
Yeah.
They both have 2 games left. They both play St. Kitts. They both play St. Martin. St. Martin beat St. Kitts recently in a very insane update. That's Dutch St. Martin, who are, in my opinion, not quite as good as French St. Martin. So an incredible achievement for them. Both of those sides could still get relegated to League C, which would be very poor if it turns out to be St. Kitts. But there's only 1 goal separating Guadeloupe and St. Lucia at the moment in favour of Guadeloupe, which I think sets up a particularly spicy November, because if Guadeloupe win their first game 4-0, that means that St. Lucia are going to have to win it 5-0, which I think is pretty spicy.
That's the tiebreaker. It's not done on head. It's done on goal difference, basically. So they have to rack up as many goals as they can in the matches against the teams at the foot of the table.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the results that they've had now. Guadeloupe beat St. Martin 4-0. St. Lucia beat them 5-1. St. Lucia have beaten St. Kitts 2-0. Guadeloupe have beaten St. Kitts 2-1. It's tight. It's going to be close. But I mean, St. Lucia at the moment, they'd have looked at that draw, and I think Guadeloupe were the obvious contenders to earn promotion. They're giving them a real run for their money. The win that they had in the first game that they played was a real shock. If I mean, I was not expecting them to come from behind and get that win. The second game they set up I watched the first half, and they basically sacrificed all of the ball. And Guadeloupe
for the draw.
Yeah, and Guadeloupe couldn't break them down, but there was a real sense of inevitability about it, because they had about 20% possession. But with 1 international window to go, 2 matches to go, they are hugely within a shout. And for them to get to League A, wow, St. Lucia, they've done some incredible work with getting players. It sounds weird to say sort of signing players, doesn't it? But researching who's eligible and then convincing them to play, and a fair few are English based. So
yeah, some standouts: Rico Hackett and Terrell Thomas, just to name a couple. Charlton and Portsmouth. Charlton and Lincoln. Respectively. So he used to play for Portsmouth, Rico Hackett. That's where I made that mistake. But yeah, I mean, and also that'd be back-to-back promos for them, which is unheard of, really. They'd find themselves in League A. Let's not be pessimistic. They would struggle in League A, but just getting there, I think, would be an incredible achievement. Nations League C, moving down the table, still in CONCACAF for now. St. Martin's 8-0 win over Anguilla. Tough one to take for Anguilla. Tough one to take for you. I know you had 25p on Anguilla to win.
Anguilla, we were looking at it. Anguilla were, at one point, they were 20-1 to win. And I was like, oh my goodness, fair enough. And then that moved out to 40-1. And I was like, wow. And then I went draw no bet. And for whatever reason, Sky Bet must have, I don't know, had a funny 5 minutes. And the draw no bet, as I sent you a screenshot, the draw no bet was 50-1. So you had Anguilla to win just straight as 40-1. And then that extra insurance of the draw no bet, they gave you an extra. So I did throw 25p on there. And they did hold out, I think, for the first sort of 15 minutes. But then the floodgates opened, didn't they? Oh my God.
Big time.
Tough to take. Do you know what's a strange one? Is that Anguilla actually played French St. Martin earlier this year, and drew 2-2 in March, with a friendly in March. I know that they've since been hammered in Nations League, and they also played St. Lucia in March and only lost 2-1. It's a strange one. I don't know where this wretched form's come from, because they've played 3, lost 3, not scored a goal and conceded 16 in 3 games.
Yeah. And of course, they had a tough group, Bonaire, St Martin.
Yeah.
But they've not done well in it. I will say Bonaire, who may end up on level points with St Martin based on how the results go, they could miss out on promotion again by the finest of margins. Think about how close it was last time because they lost to the Turks and Caicos Islands.
Yeah.
St Martin beat USVI. They could lose out really, and St Martin, French St Martin could get promoted because of this 8-0 win, which has opened up a 14-goal difference between St Martin and Bonaire. So St Martin really pretty much through. They've just got to avoid heavy defeat.
Yeah. In that League C in CONCACAF Nations League, the highest scoring or the highest placed second place team or the second place, you know what I'm trying to say, the second place
team with the
team
most points and stuff
also gets promoted. And at the moment, it looks like of the 3 groups, the Cayman Islands, it'll be the Cayman Islands or the US Virgin Islands that come second in the first group. Sorry, in the second group. They'll be on 1 point. They won't have any involvement in that. So it will probably be talking about Bonaire missing out by the barest of margins. They are likely to beat Anguilla though, won't they? So they'll end up on 6 points. And then you've got that really, but I'd expect them to probably lose to, I mean, it was quite close in the first game, actually. I have to wait and see. But this is the challenge. So if we're talking, because we watched the British Virgin Islands game last night, didn't we, against Turks and Caicos Islands? So if the British Virgin Islands finish second, they're likely to finish second on whether it's 5 or 6 points. And that might not be enough to get them the spot, that extra spot to get promoted. And this is what we were talking about last night while we were watching the game. It just felt like a massive opportunity missed last night when they could only draw 2-2 with Turks and Caicos, who did fairly well, but they played them last month and cruised to a 3-1 victory in the 3-1 flattered TCA. So I think BVI will. I mean, look, it's worth noting this British Virgin Islands team is creating history. They've now gone 3 matches unbeaten in Nations League. They've got 5 points, most points they've ever got. It's their best campaign to date. But I just think the impressive draw that they got against Dominica was probably slightly undone by and hey, they scored a 95th minute equaliser, didn't they? So it could have been worse last night. But I think that they might look back to, if they don't end up getting promoted, I think they might look back and regret last night's game, mate. Because it just felt like they just let the game meander on, didn't they? There wasn't much quality there, was there? We sat and we were a bit.
Well, they came out the trap so early. Josh Bertie scoring in the first couple of minutes. Well done to him. Of course, our first ever interview on the channel.
Friend of the channel.
Friend of the channel. But then they didn't take the game to the Turks and Caicos Islands, and I've watched my boys, Turks and Caicos Islands, enough times to know that one of their biggest criticisms, or one of the biggest criticisms I'd have of them, is if you take the game to them and it suddenly becomes 2-0, heads drop.
Yeah, they'll check out, won't they? They can check out.
And that's when you end up with some score lines that Turks and Caicos Islands they're like 8-2 to St Martin. This is a while back. But they can do. It goes 1, then 2, and you're looking at maybe 4 or 5. And when it was 1-0 British Virgin Islands in just a couple of minutes, it was like, here we go. And then they just gave Turks and Caicos Islands a space to breathe, gather themselves, get back into the game. A couple of mistakes from BVI and ultimately not a great performance. But Turks and Caicos Islands did enough. They've got Captain Fantastic who got another brace, and then
the Starman.
We're not
going to talk about it too much because I've already been critical of you in the past, saying this is not a Billy Forbes fan channel.
It can be if we want it to be. Just say the word. No, in all seriousness, the main point from all this is that Bonaire will beat Anguilla. British Virgin Islands might miss out on promotion because of 2 drop points. And as much as I love Turks and Caicos Islands, it is 2 drop points based on their results. You can't draw with Dominica one game and then just a few days later draw with a side nowhere near as good as Dominica. And I think BVI will probably kick themselves. But like you say, look, we could talk about that endlessly about what they could have done differently to win it. They are 3 games unbeaten. They are moving in the right direction. and all being well, they could get the promo. The added importance, of course, from all of this and from the upcoming games in November as well, and this might be one that viewers of the channel don't know because we haven't done our full rundown yet of how CONCACAF World Cup qualification works for 2026.
Yep.
Looking forward to doing that video. We will bring it to you soon. But we are just going to touch on how round one works. And round one, kind of interesting. 4 teams in round one. The lowest 4 ranked CONCACAF sides paired off and play an old school double header. What it always used to be in round one of CONCACAF World Cup qualification, a double header between the lowest ranked sides. But this time it's just 4. So 2 sides will progress. 2 sides, just 2 sides from CONCACAF will only play those games currently, and unlikely to change, not impossible, but unlikely to change. You've got Anguilla, British Virgin Islands, US Virgin Islands, and Turks and Caicos Islands, the 4 teams. Now, Turks and Caicos Islands only play Dominica in November. Unlikely to win that and overtake Bahamas, who are the next side. And looking at all of it, Anguilla, BVR, I just think it's unlikely that those change in November. How do you feel about that round one? Because it could go very well if you get a nice draw. Equally, there's some teams you'd want to avoid in there.
There is. This is really interesting, and as you said, I love the added importance now of how you finish in Nations League and the impact that this has in that first round of World Cup qualification, which takes place in March
next year.
You said next March, because for that first round, right, you have. Even though, sorry, I'm trying to think of the best way to frame this, mate. Even though you might not be able to get yourself out of that bottom 4, where you sit within that bottom 4 is also quite important. So if you look at those 4 teams, Turks and Caicos Islands, US Virgin Islands, British Virgin Islands, and Anguilla, I think it's safe to say that each team would probably rather play Anguilla, the form that they're in at the moment, right? Is that fair to say? And the 32nd ranked team is drawn with the 29th ranked team. So of the 4, if you're the highest ranked of the 4, you're playing Anguilla. Anguilla aren't going to move from that.
No.
So, but British Virgin Islands, US Virgin Islands, and Turks and Caicos Islands are all within a close enough distance of each other within ranking points that if they get the result that they need, so if Turks and Caicos Islands lose to Dominica, but British Virgin Islands beat them, there's a chance that might all shift. At the moment, you've got Turks and Caicos Islands who would then play Anguilla, and you'd have a Virgin Islands derby in the other game in round one, which is very interesting. Yeah, because as I said, it's the 32nd ranked team, so the lowest ranked team plays the 29th, and then you've got those 2 in the middle that then play each other. It's like the playoffs. You know, when you qualify for the playoffs in England, the team that just misses out on promotion then plays the team that's just sort of got into the playoffs. So massive added importance, which is really nice. I don't know. What I'm going to assume is you'll play the November international break, then they'll update the rankings, and that's when that first draw will that's when that draw will be announced, or those fixtures will be officially announced. It's exciting though, isn't it? Can't wait for CONCACAF World Cup, because we do Nations League stuff, but I feel like the added importance of World Cup is huge.
Well, we want Turks and Caicos Islands and BVI to both go through.
Yeah, we would really.
And to be honest, I think that current order is the only way that happens. I don't know if we beat USVI across 2 legs. And I think you do.
It depends what squad that they bring back, mate. If they actually got all of the players that just haven't seemed to play for them for ages, you'd have a really good squad. Yeah, we'll see. But I mean, there's a chance that Turks and Caicos, US Virgin Islands, British Virgin, they could all lose in November, so nothing changes at all. But I just like the extra spice. I like the extra spice, and the fact that the CONCACAF World Cup qualification scene is going to soon be upon us. Is that the first time we've had it in the channel? It might be. Yeah, nice.
At this stage,
yeah,
I think stuff being sort of finalised before, and it's a bit like World Cup qualification in Asia. I remember when we started the channel, we were covering like Oman in round 3. Because that's the level we were at by then.
Yeah.
This is where we want to be at the start of the journey, and that brings us beautifully on.
What a segue!
What a segue! Round one, the lowest 20 ranked sides in Asia who got paired off into 10 head-to-heads. We could debate all day whether or not you like the format. 10 head-to-heads, 2 legs as well, meaning that 10 sides have now, as of today at the time of recording, exited the FIFA World Cup. Their journey is over before it really began. I'll just run through some of the results before we talk in more detail about others. Guam ran close with Singapore, 3-1 on aggregate there, 2-1 after the first leg, 1-0 Singapore in the second game.
Yep.
Mongolia ran Afghanistan pretty close, just couldn't get a goal in that game, 1-0 in each leg, 2-0. Sri Lanka did well, drawing today 1-1 with Yemen, but unfortunately they lost the first leg 3-0. Macau also did well, drawing today with Myanmar, but they lost 5-1 in the first leg. And then there were a few very comfortable ones. Timor-Leste lost 7-0 on aggregate to Chinese Taipei. And the biggest result, Brunei 0, Indonesia 12 across the 2 legs, 6-0, 6-0 in that one. But now let's talk about some of those other games, some of the games I haven't mentioned yet in more detail. And Ryan, we're going to talk about another side that's exited at this stage, but Bhutan.
Yeah, Bhutan. Where did that come
from? Bhutan lost the first leg to Hong Kong 4-0.
To be expected.
All going to plan. Yeah, it's fair enough. But they only turned up today and beat them 2-0.
That's an insane result, by the way.
It's crazy. I don't know. This is probably not the case, right? They have gone out in round one. They are likely to go up 4 rankings places from today's win. Huge result. I mean, Hong Kong are really good. I just can't believe it. 4-0 and it was comfy. It was 4-0 early doors. Michael Luda-Bozolo was on a hat-trick after 15 minutes, as in had scored 2. And it was an easy game for them. And then to go away to Bhutan, and I've looked at the lineup, there's still most of the same names you'd expect. They didn't take it totally easy. And to lose 2-0 is, dare I say, a bit of a worrying result for Hong Kong. They really took their eye off the ball there.
I think it's it is a worrying result, but I think it probably boils down to attitudes and like when they've walked into the game, they thought these lot are terrible. We've just cruised past them. This is going to be the same. And you can never write off anyone in football, which is a massively broad cliche statement there, so I apologise.
Oh, I love it.
But yeah, no, that's an amazing win. I think did we mention a certain Chencho Gaelchen on the round one preview? I think we did. He did score in this game. He scored the opener. I can't remember the points that we made about him, but I remember when
Bhutan, a legend of the game.
Just a legend of that Bhutan international team. This is the highest ranked team that Bhutan have ever beaten. They're ranked 148. And where are Bhutan? 190 something? I don't know, mate. Sorry, knowledge isn't great here. What are they? 184. Okay, 184. So they'll go up to about 180. But they are a team that it's in isolation. It's an incredible result, and they've done themselves proud actually, because everyone looked at that draw, and I think people thought it would end up what Indonesia's done with in their win against 12-0, and I think people thought that it would be the case. Hong Kong to win the game today, the bookies, sorry, I know we've mentioned gambling twice now. We do not condone gambling in any way. But they were, I think it was like, if you put £1 on, you'd get £1.05 back. Like Hong Kong were that much a favourite here. So for Bhutan to go and get the win is incredible. A shame that they've gone out, and a shame that they then won't play any other games, isn't it? Like, you know what it's like now. They won't play for blooming ages, really, now, Bhutan. But a good, if there is such a thing as a good way to go out, they've done that today with a really spirited display, my friend. Absolutely.
Another side that went out, Laos. They lost to Nepal. It was a close run thing, as games between these two sides always are. Nepal have never lost to Laos. Multiple draws.
Have they not?
Low scoring wins. No, unbeaten 6 games or so they've played against each other.
I feel like these two play each other a lot, though.
A lot. And they're all very low scoring. First leg 1-1, second leg 1-0.
Yeah.
I think their highest scoring game ever is 2-2. it's no side ever batters the other, but Nepal have just got a little bit of an edge over them. That's reflected in rankings. It happens all the time when they play each other in tournaments. And again, Nepal did well. Laos probably felt hard done by when they looked at the draw, in all honesty.
Yeah, we said that in the preview, didn't we?
Yeah, and again, it's not even like a really good side that you fancy a nice away day to. It's your neighbours that you play a lot, but they're better than you. So it's a bit of a disappointing one. And similarly, you could say the same for the Maldives, despite being the seeded side in that matchup.
We predicted a potential upset there, my friend, didn't we? And
we did.
It was always going to be close. And didn't Bangladesh edge it really in the first game, but ended up having to need a late equaliser to go into the second leg at 1-1. Then they went 2-0 up in this one, got pegged back, and then early in the second half went down to 10 men, and then did well to hold on, to be fair, to secure that final spot in Group I in round 2. So fair play to them. I don't know. I haven't got any facts and stats at hand here, mate, but I don't know how often Bangladesh have got into the second round. I'm sure this probably isn't the first time, but I'm also sure it's probably not something that they do with alarming regularity. Quick one on Nepal though, to take a couple of steps back. Because them and the winners of the Sri Lanka Yemen tie, which was Yemen. But again, another spirited display by Sri Lanka today, 1-1, and that's a good result for that Sri Lanka team to go and actually get a draw with Yemen. Because that was the one group in the second round where 2 of the round 1 participants then entered. So you've got second round, Group H, you've got Nepal and Yemen with then UAE and Bahrain. So that's a really interesting group, and you've got a chance for Yemen, Nepal to maybe grab a couple of results there, which I think is always interesting. I'm really looking forward to doing our second round preview, mate.
Yeah.
Ahead of...
Coming up soon.
Is that... Because they'll start playing these games in November, don't they?
Yeah, next month they start. I believe that Singapore, who we touched on, played South Korea, I think, first game.
They do, yeah. I'm looking at it now, actually. Yeah. South Korea away to start. Oh, it's a tough away game, that one. What's the hardest? Oh, no, this is even better. Pakistan, that we're going to talk about now, this is going to segue lovely. Their first game, away to Saudi Arabia.
Lovely. Great away day, though, to start them off.
Who beat Argentina in the World Cup.
Yeah.
Wow, your first ever game in the second round of a World Cup qualification campaign. Saudi Arabia away. Huge. Now,
absolutely huge.
Should we talk about that? I know we've done a separate video, mate. I don't know how much you'd want to go in.
Just to re-emphasize how brilliant it was. And look, I also want to really touch on, because when we're 35 minutes into this, I feel like the people who are probably still watching at this point are some of the people who we see a lot on the channel.
The diehards.
The diehards. The DNQ diehards, and we love you. We love you all.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. I'll tell you what, if you're still watching now and you describe yourself as a DNQ diehard, just give yourself a little pat.
Legends. If you don't follow us on Twitter, though, you should do, because we've been very active on Twitter this month. It's just at DNQ Football.
We'll continue to do so, though,
won't
we?
Yeah.
I think that's been quite nice.
Over there as well.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's good. And it feels like conversation sparks especially when the games are going. I know we mentioned it already. When the games are happening and goals are going in, and there's, oh my god, this team has taken their lead and this and that. It always feels like a good space for conversation. So yeah, if you don't already, at DNQ Football, get over there. We'll see you down there.
We'll see you there. But we predicted with some accuracy the outcome of round 1.
How were our predictions, my friend?
We predicted Singapore to win. They won. We predicted Afghanistan, but a close game. They won. We predicted Yemen. They won. We predicted Chinese Taipei, Indonesia, Hong Kong.
Straightforward ones, yeah.
Myanmar. They won.
Yeah.
We predicted a close game, but Nepal win in Nepal.
Did we?
Mouse, yes.
Nice.
That was one of mine. That was one of mine, and that's why I know that they were unbeaten.
Yeah. Because we split the games, didn't we? Yeah,
and the brave call, which you made and I agreed with, was Bangladesh Maldives. We both backed Bangladesh. Again, we got that right. So we got 9 out of 10 right, but we got 1 wrong. And that was Pakistan against Cambodia. And look, no issues with it at all. I watched both games, certainly today's. I watched bits of the first leg in Cambodia, 0-0. And from what I saw, Cambodia were had all of the ball and were trying to attack. Just couldn't really break them down. I thought that was
You
a bit
said
odd.
to me that Cambodia were really in the ascendancy and
Yeah.
just couldn't break through in that first
Yeah.
leg.
They had all of the ball, and it started like that a bit today. But that second half display from Pakistan and
I
Harun Hamid.
watched that. Yeah, I watched that. They were because you'd said to me in the first, "Oh, Cambodia were on top," and then you were messaging me during the first half, being like, "Oh, yeah, it's close." Cambodia, probably
Pushing.
pushing to get that goal. And then I tuned in, and it was like, I mean, firstly, how frantic was that game?
That was beautiful.
It was like bing, 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 bing. But I just thought Pakistan then for a period, then started running the game, and I was like, "Am I missing something here, or is Tom watching a different game to me?"
No. It was
Have I
genuinely
tuned into the old? Because can
watching
we
us
talk
the
about?
wrong
Sorry,
stream.
can we talk about like again? This is unnecessary shade I'm about to throw, but the quality. It was. We're not talking HD here, are we? On that stream.
Oh, it was, but even the
I thought I was watching.
scorecards and everything, it was
I thought
like
I was
watching a
watching.
90s game.
I thought I was watching qualification to the '96 World Cup.
Yeah, it looked like that.
It
Looked
was
like that. I loved it.
old school.
It was so old school, and I remember I was watching the first half, and then the people who were doing the stream, which was Pakistan TV, PTV, I think, they just stopped the stream.
Yeah.
And so for like 20 minutes, I just couldn't watch the game. This is the beauty of it. Yeah, the scenes when the goal went in, they deserved the goal because for about 20 minutes they had insane sustained pressure. Harun Hamid, who's UK-based Queen's Park Rangers in the QPR setup, where a few Indonesia players are actually. Duke McKenna for Guyana are also QPR.
Yeah.
I believe Dylan De Silva was involved in QPR. He's at Torquay now.
Yeah, he's National League now. Yeah.
National. Yeah, Torquay, National League South. And Harun Hamid's goal, so well taken. He was brilliant today. Cambodia didn't get to grips with the attack of Pakistan. Like they couldn't break down the defense, and that was kind of fair enough. They probably expected a tough game. But then as soon as Pakistan started to attack, the game plan, by the way, to try and, I don't know if it was to sit back until the last half an hour of the double legger and go for it again, but the new managers come in, Constantine's come in. They've kept 2 clean sheets. They've not kept a clean sheet since 2018. They've just kept 2 in a row. They've not won since 2018. They've never won a World Cup qualifier, and they won today. The scenes were insane. I loved it.
Yeah, it was fantastic, mate.
So what? We backed Cambodia. We looked at it based on our knowledge, what we'd seen. I'd seen some of the Mauritius Four Nations Cup with Pakistan playing in it. I'd seen enough of Cambodia across the years to think Cambodia are not streets ahead of Pakistan, but will do enough to win it. But listen, Pakistan showed up today at home for the crowd. Incredible.
Amazing. I think, though, for no one was backing them before a ball was kicked in the tie. Hadn't they not won a game
since 2018?
Yeah,
where they beat Bhutan.
That was it.
But then they had years of not playing, and you got to think they played a lot in 2023. They've lost every game in 2023 until they came up against Cambodia, until Constantine came in.
You said that you thought that it was a little bit too early in the Pakistan football project, I think, and I completely agreed, mate. Everything made sense, and also Cambodia, they're a team that have been together quite a while, regularly playing in tournaments that are of a good quality. What a win, and then the scenes, the stadium, but also just going, sorry, like when it used to, you'd be watching the game on this stream, and then it would cut to the crowd, wouldn't it? And even the way that they shot the crowd was old-fashioned, the way that it was just sort of, oh man, amazing. And they go into, as we've already touched on, mate, they go into a group with Saudi Arabia. I haven't got it in front of me, actually. Have you?
Saudi Arabia, Tajikistan, and Jordan.
Oh, great knowledge.
It's a really tough group.
I mean, it's a horrendous group, but who cares?
Yeah, that's such a good point.
Who cares? It's insane. Their first 2, Saudi Arabia away, as we've spoken about, and then they welcome Tajikistan to Islamabad. Brilliant. Amazing. Good luck to them. And we will be, and hey, DNQ's the best place to follow how they get on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we were going to touch on, and we're going to finish up with what's coming up next month.
Quick before we do, I'm just going to throw out a few things very quickly. I know we don't want to go on too long here and chew people's ears. Don't want to chew people's ears off. Other headlines. Sorry, Moldova, another amazing draw against Poland. They are still, I think, in with a shout on a very, 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 very backdoor entrance.
Yeah, backdoor entrance. Yeah,
I feel like it sounds slightly inappropriate to call it a backdoor entrance to the Euros, but hey, you're into what you're into, I guess. Luxembourg, tough one on them. They had a real opportunity.
Beating Slovakia would have done it.
Yeah.
And they lost.
And they did lose. And the table now looks like, for those that aren't sure, sorry, they're in like a group that's miles down. Oh, they're 5 points off with 2 games to go.
Highly unlikely for them. They'll have to do it through the back door as well.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people trying to enter through the back door.
What can you say?
Can't blame them. Can't blame them. Yeah. So, and then AFCON draw. We didn't touch on the AFCON draw, mi amigo.
Not yet. We haven't touched on the AFCON draw. We'll be doing a video on the AFCON draw.
Okay.
Ahead of the African Cup of Nations. The African Cup of Nations starts in the new year, but the draw was about 5 days ago now. Tough groups all round. Nobody's got an easy one. I'd say that a lot of the minnows, as we like to sort of call them, even though they're good sides, nobody's got an easy draw. But we will touch on that in the full video that we've got. So we've got AFCON draw to chat about that coming up. We've got round 2 of AFC World Cup qualification. We've got CONCACAF Nations League, how that feeds into the CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers, how CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers works, the conclusion of some of the Euros games. What else? We've got Pacific games as well, and the start of CAF World Cup qualification. Africa's World Cup qualification starts in November as well, because we've not had enough African footy this month. Hence why we've not touched on it today, but plenty coming up next month as well. So from all around the globe, there are several reasons to subscribe to D&Q. I told you I was going to plug it again. Why don't you, as the comment today, if you've made it this far, as the comment today, comment what your favourite game has been in this international window from around the globe. Any closing comments from you, good sir?
No, what a break we've had. I look forward to doing it all again in 4 weeks' time. The first games, I think, of the November break are on the 16th. So I look forward to that. I also look forward to you and I scrambling around for any kind of content across the next 3 weeks, which is always quite good fun. But stick with us, because we've got so much good stuff coming up. And then when November comes round, we're just going to be over everything, aren't we? We're
flat out, really.
Yeah, we will. We're buzzing for it. Absolutely buzzing for it. Nothing else to add, mate. Good to chat. What a break we've had.
What a break.
And we go again.
As always. We'll see you next time.